Hi. A student asked if they could get some more help with the project part one that was due 2 weeks, that was due last week. So I figured I'd help make sure they send out a video in case. So project part one was from week 8. So I'm going to pop in here real quick under week 8. And project group names, part one was due Sunday. So if we open that up, in here, when you open this up, you're going to end up having to, you know, work on your assignment. It'll say, edit, or I forget how it looks on the student version. But the instructions on what to do are in here. Math tips, like, well, I'll just show you each one. So instructions. In your group or by yourself, what you're supposed to do is create a digital scrapbook that has these 12 graphs using the equations that are listed at the bottom of this paper, and then be sure to group them by the algebraic model that they represent. So there's going to be 12 graphs, and they're either going to be linear or absolute value equations or quadratic or cubic. And each type of those algebraic models is going to have 3 graphs to go with it. You don't really have much work you have to show, but you do have to answer all the questions since we're doing this digitally. And the work might include, well, back in the day when this was handwritten, you might have to show your work to put it in different forms, but we don't have to do that part. And part one, which is all of this right here, was supposed to be turned in by last Sunday. Part two, we were talking about this week in class, is due this Sunday. So part one, you need a title page with everybody's name on it, all of the linear equations, and if it's linear, you're supposed to have on there a graph, tell me the slope, the y-intercept, the domain, and range. There's a section that you should put in there that's absolute value. And let me just clarify, if we go down here to the bottom, these are the 12 equations. I'm not sure why it popped it down. Seems weird. Make this smaller, so maybe it'll. Anyway, these 12 equations down here, all these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. These equations are the ones that you need to complete. So, like this, I'll do an example here in a second, okay? But when you go back to the assignment, if you open up this, that's the actual Google Slides that you'll use. And again, the instructions and math tips and the computer formatting tips are in here too. So for you, you would put your group names, and for me, mine is Mrs. Flannery, right? I'm working by myself. You would type whatever your names are for your group, and if you're working by yourself, then you would type on there you're by yourself. And then there's spaces for the linear equations, there's spaces for absolute value equations, there's spaces for each one of these, okay? And so if we go back to the instructions, let's just start with this one. Y equals negative 2x plus 1. Okay, first of all, if you already know what kind of equation it is, great. If not, we're going to be using Desmos a bunch for this. And I strongly suggest you go ahead and, sign up for an account so you can save what you're working on. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. Log in with Google and see how it already put my name up here. And so that equation I was just talking about was, let me go back, split screen it so that I can see both at the same time. Oh. So negative 2x plus 1. All right, negative 2x plus 1, right? So then you decide, okay, what kind of a function is that? Well, that's just a linear function. All right, it's just a line. So since it is a line, I got to figure out where to put it and what to do with it. Linear equations, I'm supposed to put on here the graph and the slope, the y-intercept, domain, and range. All right, so if I go under the linear section, I'm going to take a picture of this. I like Windows Shift S to take pictures of graphs. So linear graph, let's see, we need that. And I'm just going to go in here and paste. And if you're like, how the heck did she just copy and paste that? Well, let me show you a little trick. If you go into here on computer formatting tips, click it. There's instructions on there and some tricks. And the screenshot, the one that I like that I just used, these are the buttons that you would push, okay, on the actual keyboard. Windows Shift S. That's how you do it on a Windows computer. And then here's some copy and paste tips. Control C is copy, is the one I like for copying, and Control V. But again, there's lots of ways to do screenshots. There's lots of ways to do copy and paste. These are the ones that I like. And if you ever have to type in an infinity or some other kind of crazy math thing, you usually can't do it in Google Slides, but you can do it in a Google Doc and then screenshot it. And in just a minute, I'll show you that too. Okay. So again, if you're like, how did she screenshot? You can find all that information in here under computer formatting tips, which is in the beginning of this assignment. Or if you copied it before, I added it in here. Okay. All right. So all that said, I'm supposed to have the graph. Got it. I got my graph. And according to the instructions, I also need, for a linear, I need the slope, y-intercept, domain, and range. Okay, so I go in here. I need slope. Oh, of course you should put the equation. Equation, slope, y-intercept. This is tiny. Let me make it bigger so you can see it. Equation, slope, y-intercept, domain, and range. Okay. So the equation was, let me just screenshot that bad boy since I typed it in here and it's all cute already. Just gonna screenshot it and then paste it in. Oh, hey. All right, paste. Fine. So there's my equation. Hey, hey, I want you to go where I want you to go. This way. Slope, there's different ways that you can find slope. If you want to look in here under math tips, there are reminders about how to find slope and even links and videos and resources. So if you're needing help with domain and range, there's information in here. If you need help for y-intercept, if you need help for how to find the slope of a line, there's a video, a website, a reminder that it's rise over run, etc. Okay, so x-intercept, y-intercept, domain and range, slope of line, those are all in here. If you're like, what the heck is she talking about? And you don't remember, you can always hit this math tips sheet and it's got more information on it. Okay. But back to my example. The slope here is -2. How do I know that? Well, first of all, I'm awesome. Second of all, anytime you have normally if you've got y equals mx plus b, right? The m, whatever's in front of the x is your slope. But if you're like, I don't remember that, but you do remember rise over run, kind of zoom in and say, okay, well, to get from this point to another point, I don't like that it's a fraction. So I don't want to use the fraction point. I'm going to use a different one to talk about slope. Ooh, zoomed in too much. Let's see. It looks like it goes from here. Looks like there's another one right here. Is there? Yes, there is. So to get from that top point, 0, 1, to the bottom point I just looked at, which was 1, -1, we just figure out, okay, well, how far down did it go and how far right? So it went down 1, down 2, and then right 1, right? Let me zoom out. Right, to get from here to here, we went down. See, I don't know why it's so weird. Let me just do, yeah, there. That makes it better. Now each of these little squares is one unit. So it went down 2 and right 1. So my slope there is, you know, down 2, right 1. So my slope's -2. But again, I saw that in my equation, so that made it a little bit easier. So over here, I would have to say my slope is -2. My y-intercept is going to be wherever it crosses the y-axis, which was right here at this point. And if you don't remember, it's right there at 0, 1. So my y-intercept is at 0, 1. My domain, remember, is how far right and left the graph goes. And this one goes left forever. If I follow this, it would keep going left. And it goes right forever. So I could say -infinity to infinity. Or I could just say all real numbers. It goes forever in both directions. You could also just say all real numbers. But if you're one of those people who's like, no, Miss Flaherty, I love infinity. I want to type it. Again, here's some tips, computer formatting tips on how to do what I'm about to do. And I will show you. So on a new document, you have to go into a new Google Doc. And you open a new tab, Google Doc, and right here, Google Docs. And a new one, please. Please, I'd like a new one. And then I'm just going to call this my scrap paper, scrap sheet of paper that I'm just kind of going to type on. It doesn't matter or anything. You can call it whatever you want. And then you go into Insert, Equation, and then all of a sudden there's these new menus that pop up. There's lots of cool stuff you can type in now using these. Lots of cool symbols and things that you haven't learned about yet. You never know when. Like, this stuff is calculus, makes me happy. This is a matrix, also makes me happy. Anyway, this is where infinity symbol is. Okay, I'm gonna click it, and boom, I got an infinity symbol. Now, it's tiny because my font is set on size 11 right now. I'm just gonna copy and paste it. I don't feel like opening that menu again, but you can. And I'm gonna make it bigger. Bigger, 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 bigger. And then I'm gonna take a screenshot of it. And again, I like the Windows Shift S. Aw, screenshot. And then I can pop it in my project by hitting paste or Control V. So you can type -infinity to infinity, or you can write all real numbers. Domain is right and left. Range is up and down. It's up to you which one you like better. Kind of like that little symbol. I think it's kind of cute. So I'm going to delete. Oh, hey, too much. Anytime you mess up something, you can always hit the back button. But I'm going to delete. I'm going to pop this guy up her. Pop this guy down her. There we go. So for linear equations, let me make sure I got everything on here that I need. It says that I need, let's see, computer, parent, yep. These are instructions. So my instructions say that I need, for linear, I need graph, got it. Slope, got it. Y-intercept, got it. Domain and range, got it. So this one equation is done, right? Now, on that paper, there are 12 equations. So you're going to do 12 different things. So let's grab another one. Let's